There is no sport in the world like college football, and there is no conference in college football like the SEC. It is the very heart of college football. It is culturally its own thing, and its members live by a code of unwritten rules, which I have, coincidentally for this video, written down. So here are the 10 commandments of SEC football. Commandment number 1, thou shalt respect Vandy. As I'm sure you're probably already aware, SEC fans are really good at spreading their hate all around the conference. But that hate is rarely applied evenly. A good SEC fan will layer their hatred like a tiramisu of detest. The top and largest layer is always reserved for their biggest rival. For state fans, that's Ole Miss. For Georgia fans, it's going to be Florida. And for Arkansas fans, that's the referees. The next tier is reserved for even more rivals and just teams that you don't like to see win. If Bama was not in your top tier, this is where they're at. No one likes Bama unless you're Bama. The layers of loathing continue until you reach the thinnest layer, the very bottom, where only one team resides, and that team is Vanderbilt. As a founding member of the SEC, the Commodores have played over 90 seasons of football in this conference, yet they are the only OG member to have never won a conference championship or even a divisional championship. For most of their existence, Vandy has been as close as you can get to an automatic football win in this conference. They've been outnumbered by visiting fans in their own stadium more times than I can count, but they could probably count it. Which is why a lot of people falsely believe that Vandy's academic prestige is the reason they'll always have a home in the SEC. But I mean, let's be real here. How smart can they really be? This is the same institution that gave Clay Travis a degree. Vandy is in the SEC because they are a shining example of how well-adjusted and self-aware college football fans should act. Win or lose, and historically it's been the latter, Vandy fans will just carry on with their lives as if football is not the most important thing in the world. Truth is, they can't win every game. And there may be some years where they don't even get a bowl bid. And it's possible that they may never see a national championship in their lifetime. And that same thing can be said for the majority of the teams in the SEC, yet Vandy's fans are the only ones that have come to peace with it. So when your team is stuck in one of those seasons or decades and appears to be spiraling forever downward into football purgatory, take a second and look for a Vandy fan, if you can find one. I think, Nate Bargatze is one, and sometimes Johnny Manziel, for some reason. Commandment number 2, thou shalt not shame the sidewalk alumni. I understand that to people outside the South, the culture of college football down here can be confusing and sometimes just straight up weird. Yes, the majority of fans in the SEC did not attend the school that they root for. Heck, a lot of them have never even stepped foot on that school's campus. But that in no way diminishes their fandom. SEC football carries as much weight, if not more, than the NFL in the deep rural South due to a whole gumbo of socioeconomic reasons, but largely because the NFL just straight up ignored the Southeast for its first 40 years of existence. So college teams have always been our pro teams because that's the version of football that we've been exposed to the longest. And also because several SEC teams have been paying their players for decades, so that technically also makes them a pro team. Roll Tide. Now, I will say that the practice of shaming sidewalk alumni is way more frequent up north than it is down here, but I've still seen it down here firsthand, and I will say that that is a gross dismissal of Southern culture, regional pride, and family tradition. College football, especially the SEC, would not be anything at all like it is today if it weren't for those sidewalk alumni that go to the games, watch the games, and buy all the merch. And with the NIL now in place, these sidewalk alumni are more important than ever to the long-term success of your football program. Unless you're Vandy. I don't like they're winning and I have no idea how. Commandment number 3, thou shalt honor thy legends. Trash talking is its own officially sanctioned sport in the SEC, but every good fan knows that there are certain legendary individuals that are off limits for fodder. These people probably had no affiliation whatsoever with your school. Heck, they probably even went to your rival's school, but you better tread lightly when you speak their name. Not just because that Legends fan base has zero tolerance for that slander, but because the rest of the SEC ain't gonna back you up on it either. What legends am I talking about? I'm talking about former Mississippi State head coach and forever Pirate Mike Leach, or living cheat code and philanthropist Auburn's Bo Jackson. This reverence even extends to non-gridiron greats. I'm talking about trailblazers like Tennessee's Pat Summitt or Vanderbilt's Perry Wallace. We give each other a hard time in this conference about everything, from our chants and traditions down to the uniforms, but we don't touch certain people like Tim Tebow. Because yes, that would make Gator fans angry, but I'm also pretty sure that would make God angry, and he'll punish your football team. And speaking of smack talk with terrible consequences, commandment number 4, thou shalt watch your mouth when speaking to certain fans. How do I put this? In the SEC, we like to say that it just means more, but to these fans, it means a lot more. Like it means everything. These are people that cannot take a friendly ribbing because their entire existence is wrapped up in the success of their favorite college football team. And I know some Yankees are watching this like, okay, well, how many of those people can there be? A lot. Like there's one in every family down here, minimum. How do you know if someone is one of these types of fans? Well, the quickest way is to insult their team and see if they punch you in the face. But the much safer way is to look for certain indicators that point to their level of dedication or full-blown emotional codependency. Do they have a tattoo celebrating their fandom? That by itself is not a problem. But it is if it's a full-blown back tattoo of Paul Bear Bryant. Do they frequent message boards made for fans of that team? Again, that by itself is not a problem, unless they pay a monthly subscription to get on that message board. It's free to talk to people, y'all. Do they like to DM recruits? That's a problem. That's straight up a problem. You should not be messaging teenage boys. That's more than a problem. That'll get you on a watch list. All I'm saying is, if you're new down here and your team is now suddenly winning games and you yourself would like to try your hand at some light smack talk, maybe first consider your target. Because some targets down here don't mind catching a criminal charge. And I'll say it one more time, roll tide. Commandment number 5, thou shalt respect thy opponent's traditions. You don't have to like hearing Arkansas call the Hogs. You don't have to like whatever yell that Texas A&M is doing, but you will respect it. All those traditions are what makes the SEC what it is. It's the reason that every school in this conference has its own identity. It's the reason that comedic content about the SEC can even exist, because each fan base already has its own baked-in unique culture and personality. Now, I'm not saying that you can't make fun of those traditions, but I am saying that there have been real efforts to strip away those traditions, like the cowbells at Mississippi State. I mean, does it create an unfair advantage for their home games? Maybe, but so does the psychological warfare that Tennessee inflicts on us by playing Rocky Top every 3 seconds, or the well-documented impact that a night game in Baton Rouge has on both seismographs and Cajun livers. So you can hate all these traditions as much as your heart desires, but you still gotta respect them. So next time a fully grown adult man from Georgia barks at you incessantly, take a deep breath and remember that he's only contributing to the rich tapestry of SEC culture. But if he bites you, you should get tested. Commandment number 6, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Yeah, that one is a real commandment from Moses, but it also applies here. One of the biggest culture shocks for people that move down to the South is seeing how much religion is weaved into everyday life down here. And if you ain't aware, everything that you've heard about the prevalence of churches in the Bible Belt is true. There is a church on every corner, and it's usually located right between the Dollar General and the Payday Loan Store that's now inside an old Pizza Hut. And while church attendance is not mandatory, it is highly encouraged. And a lot of SEC fans dedicate the second half of their weekend to the Lord, because they need to ask forgiveness for the things they said and did on Saturday. And while I can't find a specific Bible verse to back me up on this, I do feel pretty confident that Jesus is more likely to forgive you for sins that were committed during an SEC football game if you come to church the very next day on Sunday. So go ahead and hurl all those obscenities at your TV on Saturday. You'll make it right on Sunday. Commandment number 7, honor thy rivalry and keep that weekend open. It's a joke that's been beaten to death down here that you don't have a wedding or any other planned life event on a Saturday in the fall. But the reality of it is, people still do. And don't cuss me out unless you plan on going to Sunday school. I think that's fine. Yeah, I said it. If you plan your wedding carefully based on the college football schedule, you won't have a major drop in attendance. And more importantly, your family won't hate you. Just try to keep that wedding or whatever life event contained to the bye week, or a cupcake game week, or at the very least, hours after the game should have ended. But do not Under any circumstances, plan your event for Rivalry Weekend. I mean, yeah, the Saturday after Thanksgiving isn't a super popular day for weddings anyway, but I can guarantee you people are going to get fed up with you if you schedule your wedding on the biggest football day in the South. And don't for a second think, oh, you know what, I can just put the game up on a TV during the wedding reception. Girl, do you really think it's a good idea to show the Iron Bowl to a bunch of Alabama and Auburn fans trapped together in this converted barn where you're having your wedding reception and an open bar? The question isn't what could go wrong. It's how many people are going to get out alive. Just know that the after-hours cop that you had to pay to be security is going to actually have to do some work because somebody is getting arrested. And it's probably going to be your uncle, the one with the message board subscription and the full back tattoo of Steve Spurrier. Now, if you want to make a good decision during Rivalry Week, I strongly suggest you check out Collegiate Legends. Collegiate Legends are 6-inch, fully articulated action figures of football players from your favorite team. Thanks to their NIL program, which not only pays the players, but gives back to the local community, Collegiate Legends has action figures of some of your favorite college football players. You've probably seen Collegiate Legends on the desk during SEC roll call or heard me talk about them in a previous video, but these little collectibles are awesome and they make the perfect gift, which is why you should definitely take advantage of their Rivalry Week sale. When you buy 2 or more Collegiate Legends and use the code RIVALRY at checkout, you'll get free shipping. That's right, 2 Legends, 1 cart, 0 shipping. Check them out now at collegiatelegends.com or click the link down in the description box. Commandment number 8, thou shalt believe. Maybe your sights are set on a national title. Sometimes it's just reaching the SEC championship game. Heck, for Florida fans, it's just being bowl eligible. But the start of each new season acts as a reset button for the hopes, dreams, and unrealistic expectations of every SEC team. It doesn't matter if your team just lost both coordinators and 22 starters. Every fan base in the SEC goes into August with some semblance of optimism, only to have it crushed by mid-September. I know some of y'all are probably thinking, Matt, isn't that true like in all sports? No. Do you think Miami Marlins fans go into every season thinking they're going to win the World Series? Of course not, because the Miami Marlins don't have fans. And while it's certainly easy to point and laugh at Auburn for firing a coach every other year until they, somehow magically win a national title, it's that textbook insanity that fuels the fire that is the SEC. And that, of course, leads us to commandment number 9. Thou shalt never rest. You may think that it's some tired cliche, but it is 100% fact. There is no offseason in SEC football. What do I mean by that? I mean that if you come down to Birmingham on a random weekday in like April or June and turn on sports radio, they're gonna be talking about college football. It could be Super Bowl Sunday, but a Deep South sports broadcaster is gonna find a way to steer that conversation towards college football. And if they don't, the callers will. Heck, this is the entire reason the Finebaum Show exists. It is an outlet for the most dedicated and, frankly, unhinged SEC fans to get their feelings off their chest. It is essentially therapy. We just found a way to record it for the masses and sell ads during it. So, yeah. Your neighbor's depression is brought to you by Hillshire Farms. And finally, commandment number 10. Thou shalt know that you're the best. I can already hear those Cincinnati chili-stained Big Ten fingers typing away. Well, actually, Matt, the Big Ten has won back-to-back national titles. Cool. Did you know that Germany also controlled most of Europe in World War II, till the good guys showed up? The SEC has won 13 of the last 20 national championships. And if you didn't have the pleasure of going to Vanderbilt, that's more than half. And I can already hear those Ohio keyboards warming up again. But Matt, actually, college football is rigged. And ESPN pushes the myth of SEC superiority. I'm sorry, wait a second. Myth? I think we can all agree that the absolute top tier of football is the National Football League. And no conference in the country has more active players in the NFL than the SEC. There is no metric by which you can rationally make the argument that any other conference in this country can even touch the superiority of SEC football from top to bottom. But I know that ain't gonna stop y'all from trying. At the end of the day, though, the best evidence to support the SEC being the king of college football is not going to be found in the trophy case or in the stats. It's found in the fact that fans of other conferences like to argue that they're the best until they're blue in the face on videos just like this one, made just for SEC fans. They infiltrate our spaces and spew their rhetoric and then just retreat back to their corn silos, or I don't know what they got up there. I try not to go. But ask yourself this, SEC fans. When was the last time that you went onto a Big Ten-centered YouTube channel and defended the SEC's honor. Exactly. We can't even name one Big Ten-centered YouTube channel if it does exist. And if it does exist, we don't care enough to go find it and watch it. But they come to us, whether they like us or not. Guess it does mean more to us and you.